Welcome now. The Global Affairs Analyst Sam Phatey joining me via Skype from Washington to discuss this. Good to have you on the World Now at this time. Well, both sides, the Afghan leader and the U.S. Seem to be accusing each other of not being committed to a deal. What's your take?
Well, I think the U.S. generally wants to end this war because the citizens want to end the war. And mind you, the U.S. is in its election cycle as well. Campaigns have started. And ending the war in Afghanistan is going to be a critical part of it, as much as ending the war in Iraq was critical in the last elections. So I think at the end of the day, Trump would be advocating for having this war ended. And of course, the Afghan leader wants security fully returned to his government and to his forces. However, that is not a realistic goal for either of the leaders, simply because these attacks are going on and they are going to stall the peace process.
And Donald Trump says he's committed to actually ending this war. What has he demonstrated enough to show that truly he wants to end this?
I believe Washington has made a lot of demonstrations in order to end this war. But the reality is the Afghan forces are still ill-prepared and also ill-equipped and ill-trained to control the security situation in the country. Mind you, in 2014, during the elections were partially disrupted because of the attacks that had happened. Even one of the front-running contenders, Abdullah, was attacked, and he nearly died during the attack. So this election is the same thing. The Taliban are saying that they are going to disrupt the election, and this is an indication of exactly what they are going to do. Pakistan in the past, for example, have closed their borders during elections, and they are going to do it again because they are disrupting cross-border trade in order to prevent cross-border attacks. So with all these situations going on, and knowing fully well that if the security situation in Afghanistan is not fully stabilized, U.S. troops cannot withdraw, because them withdrawing prematurely like that means that the entire region is at the mercy of the Taliban, and the entire region risks total destabilization for the next decade or two.
And how much more complicated is it if there is a drawdown? Because Donald Trump has been talking about that in a while now.
It is going to be beyond a complication. It is probably going to create one of the worst humanitarian crises that we might see in the 21st century, or even in global history, if the U.S. troops withdraw prematurely from Afghanistan because of the politics in Washington. Mind you, the same politics in Washington is the better reason why the U.S. invaded Afghanistan. Now, here is a very basic and a very simple fact, which is if the security of Afghanistan is totally given to the Afghan forces, it means that they have no control, and Taliban will keep on attacking, and it will scale out to a full-scale civil war, which does not involve the United States. And it will disrupt trade in the region. It will also totally disrupt the peace in the entire region, not just in Afghanistan, but you would also see a lot of attacks coming up in Pakistan and neighboring states.
And finally, what do you think is giving the Taliban so much oxygen that they continue to wreak such havoc, especially when it comes to police points?
You know what? That is a very important question that you asked. And here's the thing. If you look at Afghan politics and its history, especially in the past 10, 15 years, independent candidates have been winning elections, which means that they have been using a coalition approach in order to win elections. And that brings in the Taliban into these governments, and which means now they are looking for control. So the Afghan president currently, he is independent. The regular political parties are not winning. So the coalition approach, they know they are needed, and so they are trying to bend the arm of the current president in order to be in the next government. At the same time, the current president's arm has been bended by the international community, especially allies like the United States and the United Kingdom. So his arms are getting bended in both ends. The Taliban, knowing this, that an independent candidate is likely to win, and they will need their support. It has to be a coalition government again. They are trying to take their chances, and that's exactly what's happening.
Sam Phatey, thank you so much, as always, for joining us on The World Now.